Good day everyone and welcome to another When Day Breaks video, this time with the Gate Guard.
Yo, chat.
This encounter is separate from the main canon we have been developing, so treat this as more of an SCP cross encounter. There will be a continuation to the canon in August with the 682 video. A thank you to the patrons for keeping this channel going, a quick word from today's sponsor, and we'll get started.
I still haven't figured out what to do with my Patreon. I don't think I've even logged into it.
You've got black and white to choose from. The premium gilded packs even come with this gorgeous iridescent effect on the edges. Check out these.
I was like, because I don't upload enough to put, like some people say, oh, well, you can get early access to these videos on the Patreon.
The red accents on the 939 sketch. Awesome. Everyone who backs the project will
Yeah,
also have the opportunity to have their own MTF frontrunner shirt with customizable text. So if you want your own pack, then follow the link below to the Kickstarter and get your pack of SCP playing cards today. Uriel stood calm and bold before the gate to heaven. Surrounding him on all sides, a wall of flesh probed the perimeter. Things that were once human, corrupted and mutilated into something new, something inferior to his master's creation. The sun stared down at him with his evil red eye.
Yeah, I might have to get some more headphones.
Uriel felt no fear.
Fucking up.
The flesh could not pass the barrier. A deep moat of ash and charred earth marked where so many of these abominations had tried and failed to cross. Uriel
Damn, it's just a
the sun still
circle of flesh.
A blinding explosion shook the landscape as another monster tried its luck. It was
Is this 682?
Another tried, and then another. Uriel looked out with disdain. These were once people. They had families, commitments, and dreams. His master's very first creation had turned on them all. What once lit up the sky had now plunged creation into a different kind of darkness. Why did his master not act? The question entered his mind again. His thoughts were interrupted as another creature crossed the boundary. No, all of them were crossing. This he would like to see.
Oh, this is a. Oh, okay, I get it. I didn't.
Onto the front line.
I didn't get it. I didn't get it because when this was recommended to me, I was like, when day breaks, and I was like, Gate Guardian. I said, I thought this was something else because like, isn't when day breaks is when all of humanity start like turning into like human blobs of flesh, basically, like, and they were being attacked by, when the sun was turning people into human blobs of flesh, like they were like absorbed into each other, and they just sort out to any human that wasn't changed and forcing them to be consumed and, well, I guess assimilated, I guess you could say. And I was like, is that? And I now like, okay, this is the Gate Guardian on Earth, where when day breaks happens, is he's every time they try to come to, because I know that they said that the Gate Guardian in the SCP universe is supposed to, well, you know how SCP shit works, where it's not really 100% known, but is alluded to that, you know, they say this is Uriel, or Archangel Uriel, who protects the gates to the Garden of Eden, or I should say the entrance to the Garden of Eden, with a flaming sword. So on this earth, he's on the When Day Breaks planet, and all these humans are trying to get in there, or I guess attack him. And that'd be crazy if they were able to like merge with him or something. Like, what would that become if that's even possible? Because it's not a human being. Because he's not affected by the sun turning. They don't even know why this happens in this unit. Because of course it's SCP shit, so they gotta be mysterious why this is even happening. They know how it's happening, but they don't know why it's happening. But okay,
what was this?
I get it.
Did the sun hate his master's creation so much that it was determined to see its own warped attempt at life destroyed? It was inconsequential. His great sword danced across the landscape, cutting down the flesh in seconds, reducing them to dust once more. Fertilizer for the garden. Then he understood. These weren't infantry. They were pawns. He sensed something big across the boundary. Great conglomerations of humans and animals now melted and molded into monstrous forms approached him. The bishops made their move. 2 great horned beasts charged straight at him. They were too immense for a direct strike, so instead
Oh, wow,
he
that is
swiftly darted to the
huge.
side and with one great swipe decapitated them. A quick follow-up attack reduced the pieces to ash. He heard a screech from behind and dodged as several smaller but more nimble things on large legs appeared above him. The enemy's knights darted from side to side, a futile effort. Blinding arcs of energy shot out from his weapon and
That
vaporized them
damn
all.
Silver
He
Surfer some
continued
shit.
mopping up the pawns awaiting the rooks. The tide of flesh was relentless. His sword spiraled around the perimeter, creating a whirlpool of ash and embers. A low bellow vibrated off the ground as 2 titanic
Oh
pillars
shit!
of
I
flesh
was like, what
approached
is
him from
happening
opposite
here?
sides. Uriel
I
had to
noticed that
physically
he was
crane
right
his neck to look up at them. His weapon blasted chunks out of them, but their wounds were very quickly healed by more flesh. They came closer. They were going to swallow him and the gate. Uriel thrust his sword deep into the ground. The earth's crust fractured and the ground collapsed into the fire below. Uriel and the gate stood there on a pedestal as the rest of the ground and the flesh with it fell to flame. The pillars of flesh collapsed into millions of tendrils, all screeching as they tried to pull themselves out. Instead, they slowly burnt away and were silent. A high-pitched tone pierced him, and he looked out to see a deer approaching him, the opponent's queen. A broken memory returned. Had he seen this thing before?
Is that
in another time and another place?
deer that's like a god
Fire,
or something?
blood, ice, and concrete filled his mind. He could not remember. The angel looked on, incredulous, as the ground reformed around him, sealing away the monsters. The deer commanded it. Its shaky legs.
It is that
moved
thing.
sorcery
Okay,
as the
it's been
distorted head showed signs of what was
okay.
once a
So this
face.
thing can assimilate
This
these things.
hybrid creature was fighting.
But this
the
is like a
sunlight,
god or
unsuccessfully.
something.
It was not of this world. The power this thing radiated was palpable, and Uriel felt fear. He summoned the legions. His own army lined up in front of him, all looking at this creature that
Oh
continued
yeah,
to advance.
I didn't know he could
The
summon.
legions of heaven stood firm, but it didn't seem to care. It crossed the boundary and the first line of angels moved to attack. There was a crack and a flash, and Uriel was shocked to see several large hexagonal grey columns standing where his allies once did. The second line attacked, and a second flash and crack resulted.
Yeah,
in
because
another
can't
line
this
of
thing
columns.
turn stuff
Uriel
into like
ordered his remaining angels
inanimate
back from the gate.
objects or some
They
shit?
quickly obeyed. He then spun on his heels,
I forget the
took a final
name of
look
this
at
thing.
paradise, and slammed the gate shut. A ball of metallic elements hit him in his back, and he went sprawling into the dirt. He quickly recovered and brought his sword around, colliding with another ball that was spiraling around the creature's head. It shattered, sending particles of creation out like sparks. Tiny portals to other realities opened and shut up as the sparks fizzled away. Uriel went to swing again, but the deer fixed its gaze on his sword, and it turned to sand in his hands.
Oh
The
wow!
thing's antlers pinned Uriel against the gate. Then a mass of flesh rising out of the deer gave Uriel a command.
You will open the gate.
His one purpose given to him was to guard the gate to the garden, to the end. Uriel reached back, gripped the bars of the gate, and began pulling. The gate resisted. He focused his strength and power into his arms.
He was trying to
With a
open the
final
gate?
crack, the bar broke free. The blast sent both Uriel and the deer hurtling.
Oh, is he trying to
backwards.
destroy the gate?
Before the deer could recover, Uriel summoned the last of his strength and plunged the bar from the gate into the deer's neck. Cracks of light began to spread across them both before a final flash enveloped everything. The light cleared. An unspoiled gate to Eden could briefly be seen fading away. In front of it was the charred and lifeless husks of the 2 combatants, slowly crumbling away to join the earth.
Holy shit! That was really good.
And that concludes this When Day Breaks video. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure
Whoa.
to like and subscribe if you did. Big thanks to Dr. Sumerian for looking over this.
I
and to
did
my
not
incredible patrons
expect
for keeping
that.
this channel going. Please consider joining them. And thank you to Rick Trexon, Wings of a Meme, Nicholas, Number of the Yeast, Infinite Tune,
Oh, he had a
Spooky the
lot of
Tear God,
tears.
Razman,
I think
Guardian
I
of
just
Energy,
had 3.
Luna Wilson and Sam Samuel. Big thanks to the council members, Arctoast Kibara, Captain
That
Hunter
is
Killer,
crazy.
Tree, Cat Clone Bane, Monarch, Kikaran Gamma Torn, your local agent Kirik Eden's Gate and Dr. Ironside, and
Okay,
and take care.
that's it. Ooh-wee. Them frames drop like crazy. I might not be able to use this shit. I might have to do some actual editing. But I did not expect that. because I didn't think that whatever was happening to humans, well, we know they were being melted basically, and then turned into like huge, like just mounds of flesh. But I didn't know that they could affect any of those, like what's the word I'm looking for? Not sentinel. What's the word I'm looking for? Well, like, you know, like godly. That's what I'm trying to think of the words. I know it started with a C, but I can't think of it. But like those things, like that deer, because I know that deer, but I can't remember the deer's name. And I remember it could turn things into, like, I think it was like turn things into wood, and then it turned them into, like, I remember it turned people into like slabs of like concrete or some shit, like stone. And yeah, like it basically could turn things into other things. Like he transformed his sword into sand and shit like that. But this, he said, you will open the gate so we can go in there and assimilate that too. Like this. So I wonder if him breaking the gate, because at first he said he was trying to pull the gate open, but it resisted. The gate resisted. And then he forced it and it exploded. And then he took that rod and stabbed the thing in the neck. And then it was a big explosion and killing them both. Like, I wonder if he was doing that to intentionally destroy the gate, because he didn't say the gate started fading away. So I guess that's it for that. That Earth is just this story kind of reminds me of Marvel Zombies, where they just pretty much the whole zombie virus is taking over the whole Earth, pretty much, and to the point where Galactus comes and tries to devour the Earth, and then they attack Galactus and eat Galactus, and then they get the cosmic power from Galactus. So now they can go to other planets and eat them too. And I think they ate the Watcher, if I'm not mistaken. Well, they ate somebody, or the Beyonder or something, where they ate someone where they can travel between universes. So then they want to go to other universes and eat people and shit like that. So it's just like, which is funny, cause I think if I remember correctly, in that world, if you go a certain amount of time without eating human flesh, you will revert back into your human like, I don't know if you because them motherfuckers all fucked up, like body parts missing, or the classic zombie look where they like the whole side was missing, their ribs sticking out, shit like that. I think you just kind of gain your consciousness, but like you don't have the hunger to eat flesh anymore. If I remember correctly, I think it's like if you just wait, like I think like a week or two, something like that, and then you just I forget how that actually goes, but it kind of reminds me of that. Was just something that's just consuming everything to the point where now it's trying to get to other places to consume them. I mean, it's just like the thing where it's just going around just consuming this and that and this and that. Because that's that thing's whole purpose, just to consume and assimilate into itself. Because basically like it's not really a parasite. Because I know in the comics, the thing actually has like its own form, but it just assimilates everything. So I was like, that's interesting that it actually has its own form, but it still wants to assimilate everything else. Like, is that like just a instinct type thing, just to assimilate? Because it doesn't, if it has its own form, it doesn't really need to assimilate. It would be different if it started out like some type of, I don't know, life form, like small microscopic life form that got on something, then it kind of mutated and it kind of assimilated into this thing and could control this thing. And in order to survive, it had to assimilate. It had to get into something else to assimilate that. So it used this thing to attack that and assimilate. Then it just start, like a virus. Like it just wants to just spread, or a disease just wants to spread itself, far and wide as much as it can. But also that's how that thing survives. Because it's all about survival. But in the comic books, because I was like, when I found out, I said this thing has a form and had like 3 eyes and shit and like red hair. I was like, what the fuck is that? And it looked weird. I was like, who? I remember seeing it. I was like, who drew this? Because it looked. I mean, I guess the point was to look weird, but it didn't look intimidating or anything like that at all. Like the movie would just show all those things that it had assimilated, kind of like as this one big husk, like kind of almost like the when day breaks, except it didn't look like just a big thing of flesh. Like you could see details of the things that it had assimilated in the thing. It just but that looked way scarier, maybe because I saw that movie very young. It looked way more intimidating than that shit in the comic books when it's this true form. I was like, this is the thing's regular form. Like if it's actually like a creature or being, and especially a being that can build ships that can fly in space. And I'm assuming that maybe that's because it assimilated something that knew how to do that and just collected that knowledge. So now it knows how to do it, because they showed that in the movie where it had assimilated. I forget the guy's name. That guy who freaked out and like said that they need to, like he started destroying like all the radio equipment because like this thing can't get out. It was using him, where it had assimilated him. It was building a spaceship. He was out like building a spaceship. So I was like, no, that guy didn't know how to do that shit. So it was knowledge that it collects its knowledge plus the almost like the DNA and the essence of different creatures. But this thing, just everything, just a fucking blob, and it can change shapes to resemble. Since I guess this is only on Earth, it resembles creatures on Earth. So it's like, I can make a rhinoceros, And this thing is, because the Gate Guardian is gigantic. Like it looks like a fucking like chimera. I mean, not a chimera. What's that monster? The Jap. How my mind is just fucking blank today. The Japanese monster. I forget what it's called. Like it starts with a K, and that's not a chimera. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. But it now my mind, I lost my train of thought. I was thinking so hard to try to remember the name. I didn't completely lost my train of thought. Oh, I've been sick this whole I was out of town. That's why it took me so long to do these reactions to this, and then it was a SCP-682, which I just looked at. I almost forgot the name of it. And I got sick down there. Thought I had COVID, and I was like, "Oh shit! I gotta go back. I gotta get back home," because I was out of town. I was down in St. Louis, and I came back. And found out I took a test. I didn't have COVID. It was my allergy, which I figured was my allergies, because I was renovating the house, and there's a whole lot of dust just in there, and I'm really allergic to dust. When I get dust in my nose, especially a lot of it, like my whole throat feels like sandpaper, and I start feeling like really fatigued, headaches, eyes watering, sneezing like crazy. It's wild, and it was hard as hell trying to track back in 5 hours, but yeah, and then I got sick, and I started feeling sick, tired. I was tired. I said I just didn't feel like doing the reaction, and I'm still feeling that. So I know, I get sick. When people get sick, sometimes they just mind is just like gone. Like don't try to remember shit. Like you just, your mind is gonna be, like I remember when I was supervised, like in different jobs I've had, and I was supervisor, and somebody came in sick. I was like, dude, why don't you just go home? Like, because you ain't gonna be any help here, because you sitting there with your head on your desk, like, especially if people come to work throwing up. I've done that where I knew I couldn't not show up and call in and shit like that. So I had to show up, throwing up, all different types of shit like that, going back and forth to the bathroom. And then they do me like, oh, won't you, an hour left in the damn work day. And they go, won't you go home? Like, I've been here throwing up, nose running, headache, sitting here, you seeing me suffering. And you like, why don't you go home with an hour left in your shift? Like, fuck you. It's like, I was like, no, I'm gonna get my 8 hours now. I only got an hour left. Like, shit. But, yeah, this was really good. Because I didn't expect that. I didn't know that he had worked a story combining. I mean, I've seen these channels where they don't, because you had the ones who just talk about the SCP stuff, and then other ones that try to combine, like, what would happen if this SCP interacted with this SCP? You know, what would happen if the shy guy interacted with 682, the immortal lizard, or I'm forgetting the number for the one, but the one that looks like a plague doctor who is trying to cure the pestilence. but no one knows like what the fuck he's talking about, and he seems like he just chooses at random who has the pestilence. Like, it's like anybody who questions him, they all of a sudden have it. Like, all of a sudden, like, oh really? Anyone who seems to draw doubt on, like, because I mean he just randomly does it, but then I remember he's talking to Doc. He's like, "You okay, doctor?" And like I was like, "I'm fine." Like, for you talking, all of a sudden now he got it. Like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, you making this shit up? Because as soon as he started questioning, like, he like, you are just killing people and creatures and stuff, talking about they got the pestilence, but you can't even explain what it is. And then like, is it something you can see? Like, what is it? And it's like, you don't even know. And he didn't like that shit. Like, I'm talking about that. He's like, you look unwell. He's like, I'm just tired. Like, he's like, I had to cut you open and get it up. But yeah, like I always find that interesting, people who take these and kind of just make their own story about them interacting with one another and see how that would work, or how that, you know. I think chimera. I think that's what it's called. A chimera. God damn it. Oh shit! It's hot in here. That's why I drink coffee, because I'm about to try to exercise. Maybe I'll try to do some more reactions later. But anyway, hope you enjoyed my reaction, everyone. If you did, make sure to hit that thumbs up button down below. Make sure to subscribe if you're new here. Hit that bell so you'll be notified when I upload the videos. Comment down below. Share this video. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.